Hello and welcome. You're tuned to the Leg Up, your weekly thoroughbred preview podcast. Tauranga and Riccarton we're going to be focusing in on this weekend. Japan Trophy Day at Tauranga. South Island breeders for the fillies and mares down there. Afternoon. Morning, Paul. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, Thad.
Day out at Trentham last Saturday, Oaks Day. Enjoy yourself?
Yeah, it was a very good day, yeah. There were a number of very, very happy people. I think Penny Wicker had a significant syndicate behind her.
Boy. They love it, don't they? And fair income. There was plenty of them out there, Steve. Good morning to you.
Morning, Thaddeus. Yeah, it was a great day. A couple of fillies highlighting, winning the Live-In Classic. And also, obviously, the Oaks with the Penny Wicker clan. But fascinating, the tempo of basically the whole day. It was interesting to see how hard some of the races went, in particular the two staying races. St Ledger, Sagunto went out hammer and tongs, 30 lengths to the 600 above standard. No wonder he was gone at the top of the straight. SVR looks to be a real genuine Cups horse in 12 months' time. I know the stable have always pointed this horse as a genuine stayer, and he might fulfil his potential this time next year, SVR. But back on the Oaks, you look at the numbers, just crunching them to the 600, they've gone at 12 lengths above standard. So again, the best filly or best staying filly won the race in Penny Wicker. They've walked home in the last 638.99, which is 8 lengths inferior to the next slowest on the day. So, yeah, it was just incredible how hard they went in the two staying races, which we're not really used to in New Zealand racing. Quite often they stack them up and sprint them home in any race that's beyond 2,000 metres, but that's how it was presented for those two races. And just on Romancing the Moon, look, I'm happy to be proven wrong. This time last week I was querying that filly, the Al Rocker filly, over 1,600 metres from the data that I'd consumed around her in previous races leading up to the race. But again, a race that they've gone out fairly hard. There was nowhere to hide for the mile over the Trentham circumference track, and she was gone at the 200, and she fought back and got the job done. So a deserving win for the daughter of Al Rocker.
Yeah, and Al Rocker continues to kick goals, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's his second Live-In Classic winner. Travelling Light a few years ago as well. So another filly that won the Group 1 event. So look, there's a bit of discussion around the Live-In Classic. Where does it sit in the racing calendar? This is the second year now that it's been shifted from January to March. And look, we had a stellar edition last year for the first time that it was run in March, and the ratings held up, etc. But look, it had to be moved. Whether it's in its right place remains to be seen, and we need to give it a go. We need to at least give it a good period of time in this new date on Oaks Day in the second or third week of March, because it just really got hampered and was affected by the introduction of the Karaka Classic with the prize money, etc., and a lot of the decent gelding and colts who are eligible running in that race via the Live-In Classic. So hopefully it's in the right position, because I just think overall it fits nicely into the Oaks meeting. You've got two Group 1s, one for the 3-year-old fillies over the staying trip, and then it's important to have a Group 1 for the 1,600 metre horses later in the season, because essentially we only have one race, and that's the 1,000, 2,000 guineas, and we know that comes at the early stage of the season, early November. So it gives those horses that are late bloomers, late maturing 3-year-olds, a chance to attack a Group 1 over a shorter trip on our racing calendar.
Okay, good point.
Well done to Romancing the Moon and the team, but it's not often you see Opie Boston hit the front with a furlong to go and then get headed again.
Yeah, it looked like it was all over, didn't it, with Skew Whiff come up the outside. I think you tipped Skew Whiff. Unlucky.
I didn't just tip it.
You might have had a dollar on it.
I had a little go, yeah.
Oh, what about Penny Wicker as well? You tipped us Penny Wicker last
very
week.
nice.
Yeah, okay. We better get up to Hamilton. Say good morning to Brendan Popper. He joins us. Morning, BP.
Morning, team. Yes, nice to be joining you, and reflecting on the week that was last week, and we've got ourselves some wet tracks out there leading into this weekend, especially around Tauranga, but the likelihood of that track coming back is very good, because we've had warm conditions there all through yesterday, where it's gone from an 8 to a 6. Same forecast for this afternoon and into Saturday. So naturally that track's going to come back nicely, and fingers crossed that will be the same too for Riccarton, because that is in the heavy spot, but we do have some fine weather over the next couple of days. So we might be able to get back into that soft bracket and have fair racing for all runners this weekend.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It's heavy 10 Tauranga steep, wasn't it? Is that what we'll get to that in a minute anyway. BP, let's come back to you. We better get to your ever popular segment, Maiden of the Week. Where'd you land?
Went to the last race out of Pukekohe Park, and it was a very good win by a 3-year-old filly by the name of Kentucky Rose. She is a 3-year-old filly by Mongolian Khan. She went into this race with a defeat in behind Pixie Express, and really she just looked like she found the right race, to be completely honest with you, with how she's won, and she's put a bit of a demolition job on them. But maybe we've also found a horse that we want to be following over the jumps. Out wide, the Great Northern Hurdles winner in Abu Dhabi has run an enormous race to finish into what was 5th position in the end. Boy, you can't tell me he's not ready to run for the winter with that effort over 1,600 metres. So certainly a watch on what the winner of the race does. But maybe we've got ourselves a horse that is in the right spot to be winning more major jumps races throughout the winter in Abu Dhabi.
That time of the year where we're finding jumpers out of our Maiden of the week, Steve, but that was a strong win. Kentucky Rose, and Pixie Express I think goes round in one of the main races there at Tauranga as well, the horse that beat it the start prior.
Yeah, we'll talk about that horse in more depth later in the show, Pixie Express. But yeah, back to Kentucky Rose, a daughter, 3-year-old filly by Mongolian Khan. So you'd think naturally further the distance the better for her. She may be a Queensland Oaks type that Stephen Marsh might be looking to have a little bit of a trip across to Queensland later in the season. But
Doesn't mind one.
No, he doesn't mind one, as a lot of the trainers here locally don't mind going over to Brisbane at the back end of the season. But look, Kentucky Rose out of All-American Mercy getting a bit of speed on the dam side. Don Frampton, I think, purchased his horse out of the Karaka sales. Good on Donald Duck. He always deserves a bit of success, puts a lot into the game. So, yeah, just wondering where she sits in terms of locally, domestically, a nice race for her. Not 100% sure. I'm not sure she'll back up and race in a Manawa 2 Classic. But, yeah, look, distance is going to be her friend, and maybe we might see her in Queensland at the back end of the season.
Okay, that'll be interesting. There'll be plenty of New Zealand representation, I'm sure, in that Queensland Winter Carnival. Okay, team, let's get to the race previews. We want to start at Tauranga, Steve, and run us through track conditions. What are we expecting to strike?
Well, see there graphically, it's a soft 6 currently, and that's come back significantly when we're pricing a lot of these markets. We're sitting on a heavy track on Wednesday, a heavy 9, heavy 10, so it's come back significantly as we see a soft 6 recorded Friday morning, and I think that will keep improving. We've got decent weather Friday afternoon and all day Saturday with a high of 22 degrees, so look, I wouldn't be shocked if it come up a 5 this time tomorrow, and maybe even an improvement to a 4. We know 7 days ago that they raced at Tauranga. The rail was in the true position on that occasion, but it was on a heavy track. And you look at a lot of the winners and a lot of the horses throughout the day, they came 4 or 5 metres off the rail down that home straight, and that looked to be the winning lane, or the lane that was superior with the IG, the inferior ground along the rail. But with a lot of action, a lot of info, and a lot of horses running in that channel, it did get chopped up a little bit. So the rail stays in the true position on the home straight. It goes out a few metres at different stages on the track, but when it comes to the home straight, it still remains in the true position, and that 1, 2, 3 metres along the inside was hardly touched last Saturday because, as I mentioned, a lot of jockeys went to the outer part of the home track. So I think with the improving track, I don't think it will be slight a negative on that 1, 2, 3 metres off the rail as it was 7 days ago.
Okay, let's get to the main race on the card, the Ultimate Mazda Japan Trophy Group 2 over the 1,600 metres, Steve. Race number 7 on the card, and a nice even betting field, this one.
Yeah, new favourite, and that's just happened the last hour or so Friday morning. Perfect Scenario, who was sitting in that second line, has jumped the betting ladder and now sits in that top line at 4.5, in front of Moroni at 4.8. The original price on him was 4.5. Brando, also a firmer, 1 full point, 650 into 550. Field of Gold gone the other way, 5 out to 6. Gino Severini, the defending champ, in a turn, 10 into 9. Our Alley Cat Swapperoo there with Gino Severini, 9 out to 10. Packing Rockstar, 9 out to 11. Vernon Me resumes here at a $12 price. True Enough in a couple of turns, 16 to 14. Best of the rest is Just a Canter. True Acceptor on the meeting, 26 out to 31. So look, overall summary, best bet runner, Perfect Scenario in front of the stablemate, and Brando 650 into 5.5.
Okay, let's think speed maps here, Steve. What are we expecting to see in this one, and where's the speed coming from?
Yeah, look, I think there's enough speed to be run at a true tempo. You've got Our Alley Cat, who's drawn barrier 1. I don't think they'll want to give up that ideal gate, the ace draw, so I think they'll look to sit handy in the first 2 or 3 and running. True Enough, we always know, has a tactical gate speed, probably not as much as he had 2 or 3 seasons ago, but I think he'll sit in the first 2 or 3. Vernon Me on a fresh side, Look, he probably doesn't lead, but he can get a nice trail in behind True Enough, etc. I've slightly changed my mind from doing the speed map during the week to where we sit now. I think Packing Rockstar will look to go forward. I've got him there just in behind the speed, but I think he'll come across. He'll either sit outside True Enough or he'll lead. I think our Alley Cat will get the trail there from barrier 1. Field of Gold, he took a neutral position last start at Alperni from that sticky gate. I think they'll hope for a little bit of cover in that midfield section. Genu Sanverini and Brando from decent gates should be in a nice position just forward of midfield and tracking that speed. Maroney, the favourite, just drawn a sticky gate. I think they're just going to take their medicine and go back to the last third as perfect scenario, and On the Rocks tend to profile, and Just a Canter has lack of tactical speed and will be back out into that last position. So look, overall, I think the top 2 or 3 in the market, Maroney, perfect scenario, they've got sticky gates, they'll probably be back in the last third, but I think there's enough tempo there to suggest it will be even tempo and every horse should get an opportunity.
Well, every horse should get an opportunity, BP. It's one of those markets or one of those races where you can potentially make a case for the whole field. So I'm not going to knock you wherever you go here, but Maroney was very good resuming with a big weight.
It was, yes, and he drops 4.5 kilograms, doesn't he, for this particular race. And I think race shape actually helps him despite his wide draw. I think there's enough pressure in this race with where he's going to camp, and that is going to be in a neutral position where he can be very strong at the end of his race. I think he's really well placed for this race, actually, with the weight relief and with him being second up. He goes through any type of track condition. He's a horse that was the right favourite on a heavy track, and even if you go back through the soft and the good, it doesn't really matter. He is just so adaptable. So, look, good win by Tavia. He's been gunned down with the 60.5 right on the line. I think he's going to be in a good spot for the weekend. Warren Kennedy, who's had an outstanding season so far, takes the ride aboard this horse. Yeah, I'm not too put off by the barrier draw. He's one horse I'm feeling okay about because I think there's enough speed in this race to be able to help him out, to be able to finish over the top over the 1,600 metres. But yeah, you're right. There's a number of different angles to take into the race, and I think perfect scenario with the Group 1 form and the form that it's shown down south when winning the White Robe is the one that's taking the money and also moving into favouritism. I mean, you've all seen how Levante's run last week in the George Ryder. I mean, she was amazing in that race, finishing on out wide. So perfect scenarios bumped into that horse when last of the races when finishing into 4th position. And he was very good when winning over the 1,600 metres when cutting corners around Wingatui to take out the White Robe. Yeah, look, I think the race sets up well for him too. Just the race shape, I think, helps both of these two horses at the pointy end of the market.
Yeah, Maroney, perfect scenario. Paul, we've got them in your numbers.
I really do like the look of perfect scenario, as BP alluded to. That was a big win in the White Robe, I thought, after blowing the start. And we just saw him fighting in that, the Wait for Age Classic at Otaki last month. So there's no sort of takeaway or sort of negative against perfect scenario, finishing in behind Levante and La Creek. So I can understand why we've seen some money come for him this morning and now forced into favouritism at $4.50. So, yeah, and of course, got a jockey on by the name of Ryan Elliott who isn't going too badly at the moment.
You could be doing worse than having Ryan Elliott aboard, Steve, at the moment.
Let's have a look at some of his graphics. I did this during the week. This season to date, 2022-23, he's had 244 rides for 28 wins. So, look, he's not massively smashing this here. You see win percentage 11.5% versus career at 19%. But look, let's dive into his Group 1 success, because this is a very much a talking point in the last few weeks. He's had 15 rides this season at Group 1 at the elite level, 6 winners. This is since the 1st of August, obviously the start of the season. Medium price $380, that's very short. So obviously he's been on some plum rides, including some top 3-year-olds in feature races, the Derby and Oaks, etc. His winning strike rate is 40%. Now that's important because the market expectation, if you look at the chances he's been on, sits at 26%, which is very high, but he's still exceeding it by over 10%, 14% to be exact. That winning strike rate v the market expectation. profit on turnover, $1 on each of his runners here. You're gaining 10% there, but the important factor, when he's on the point end of the market, runners that are getting well-backed, high-profiled individuals in feature races, Group 1 events, when the pressure is on, he's exceeding it. $3.80 and less, so any horse that's below his median price or on par with the median price, he's plus 118% when profit on turnover is spoken about. So he's getting the job done. Look, some of them haven't been pretty rides, but obviously he's had belief in the horses. He's been telling himself, look, I can sit 3 wide, possibly facing a little bit more cover than, or a little bit more ground than my opposition, but I'm taking bad luck out of the equation and I'm getting the job done. And he's done that on a couple of occasions. Yes, he's been on very good ammo and animals, etc. But look, he's rewarding punters. That punters, as we know, often the weight of money is on those high-profile horses. So, yeah, look, he's getting the job done, and he has to be spoken about at getting some titles at the end of the year.
Well, 6 Group 1s, BP, and counting for Ryan Elliott. That's not bad going, is it?
No, and look, you'll look back at this particular season in a few years' time and go, man, I won a Derby and an Oaks in the same season, and I was on Legato and Levante. I mean, he's just going to look back and just be beaming, really. I mean, to be able to win 2 classic races in one season is an outstanding effort by Ryan Elliott. And who's to say that it's not finished yet with what's coming up with our next couple of Group 1s for Ryan Elliott. So it's a little bit like when Sam Spratt smashed at that time when she was, just the race. We won a couple of $1 million races. Same with Jonathan Riddell. They look back in those sort of times in their career and just think, man, I was smashing it then, and Ryan Elliott is doing that at the elite level at the moment. So yeah, good on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, full credit to him, and not too many jockeys ride 2 classics in a season. I'm struggling to think of some names, Steve. To be honest,
I'm sure Lance O'Sullivan may have done it in the early 90s. I think Scott Seamer did it one year. I think when the Derby was prior to Christmas, he won the Derby in Oaks in the early 2000s. But
pretty rare,
very rare. Yeah,
okay. Oh look, Brando, Paul. Have you got Brando anywhere? He's a horse that always takes money with us. There's no doubt about that. And he won. He was, we had him in the sort of gunner category potentially, but he's won 2 of his last 3 and looked good.
He has won 2 of his last 3, yeah, and I think stepping up to the 1400 at Trentham, I think that's what we've got here on screen, where he had to come off heels and then pick up again, and I thought he did it very, very nicely as well. And funnily enough, the 2 that they've come for in this race are the stablemate Perfect Scenario and Brando. So if you like early money, those are the 2 that you should be probably following. So yeah, I think he's a big chance.
I'm probably doing him a disservice. He's a winner of 7 from 23, Steve, so that's a pretty good strike rate, really. It's just that he's had so much support throughout his career, hasn't he?
He has. 1600's an acid test for him, particularly if it's run above tempo. I think ideally he'd like to stalk those leaders from an ideal gate and barrier 2 with Billy Pinn doing the riding, be a soft 1600, because he probably has as good a turn of foot off a slow or soft tempo than any in the race, Brando. So we saw that last race over 1600 metres. It was run at a very good clip to the 600, well above par. He was just a little bit flat in the straight. Didn't make too much ground on the first 2 in running. So that's my slight question mark with Brando. He has been found out in hard run miles. And as we've mentioned a couple of times already on the show, it looks to be around about even tempo. So it's a slight query around number 8.
Okay, BP, the other race I want to have a look at is the King's Plate Packing Rockstar. And our Ellie Cat, I think, it's an interesting runner, drawn barrier 1 here.
Yeah, well, I think with our Ellie Cat, she's going to use her barrier draw. She does have the natural barrier speed. Look, we have seen her a couple of times, and look, this is trying to compare apples with apples here. I mean, this is on this occasion, Babylon Burlin was always going to lead and always going to win on this occasion, and she drew barrier number 4 and is a mile away from Babylon Burlin, but she fights on gamely to run into 3rd position. But I just feel as though with her barrier draws, they'll make the most of it. They'll put her in the race if that's either leading or sitting in a trailing spot. That gives her her opportunity on the weekend for our Alley Cat. Yeah, you're right around the other one, Packing Rockstar, who ran into 2nd position there. Now, of course, he's won this race. It was 2 years ago when he won over the 1600 metres. He's only had 2 attempts at the distance, and the last time he actually ran over 1600 metres was in the Otaki Weight for Age last year. So they believe that he's in the right spot to have another go at it over the 1600 metres. look, he has the barrier speed to be able to position up and put himself right in the race. Can he see the distance out? He was able to just hold on when he won the race back in 2021. He adds a bit of intrigue to the race for mine, and he's hovering around that $11 mark, packing Rockstar. I guess we were just waiting to see if there was going to be any sort of money for him, because he's a horse that does generate money if he's on and he's ready to go. The other horse that maybe needs mentioning is Vernon Me, to be ridden by Sam Spratt. She's a horse that is fresh up, coming into this race off the back of a very good trial when winning at the Avondale trials. This horse is drawn low. He's a horse that's had 3 Group 1 placings at weight for age level. He's always underestimated. He's another horse, I guess, over the 1,600 metres that will be looking to be put into a moored forward position. So we're looking for horses that can find the top here. I guess we're just trying to find how much pressure there will be into the race. I think there's going to be enough for those back markers to give them their chance overall. So that's why I'm around the Moroni sort of perfect scenario combination as my top picks for the race.
Vernon Me, Paul?
I want to double down on Vernon Me.
Here we go.
No, I really like that. Let's not forget, he was running around in the Herbie Dyke and was it the Bone Crusher last season.
Running well too, isn't he?
And behind Coventina Bay.
And one of your favourites.
Yeah. So, obviously fresh up, but as BP said, that was a very nice trial. So he does look fit. He could give them a bit of a go here. I don't know. Sammy might take Vernon Me to the front and just ride for a wee bit of luck. And next thing you know, they've all forgotten about the big boy. And at $12, not the worst. So, yeah, it's almost like me and BP are off the same sort of sheet.
It's always dangerous. The one last horse before we move on, Steve, I want to talk about Field of Gold. Why no money? Why no money at this stage? Good win at Awapuni, I thought.
Yeah, do we have footage of that replay? We may not.
No.
But look, I think you don't be fooled by what you saw visually, because the race shape was set up perfectly for Field of Gold. The interesting fact around Field of Gold, and that's why I met them in the neutral position on Saturday, is that he found himself in a similar position to Awapuni last start. It was off at extremely hot tempo. They went out 9 lengths above standard to the 600. They've run home in a walk, 34 and change, which was clearly the slowest on the day. And Field of Gold finished over the top of Belclair, who did set up that tempo off a big weight. So visually, it looked really eye-catching, the way he finished off over the top of Belclair. But on reflection, numbers-wise, he had every opportunity to do what he did, and you probably added more merit to the run of Belclair, who finished second, v Field of Gold, who was their winner at Awapuni a few weeks ago. So just not sure where he sits in the map. Hopefully, I think for Moroni fans, that he sits on that neutral position and probably gives a 3-wide train for Warren Kennedy on Moroni, because I think that's where it possibly could end up if Field of Gold decides to go in that neutral position, because it is a sticky gate, but because of that they may look to push forward, but it remains to be seen.
Okay. Was BP going to mention Gino Severini? Or was it?
Yes. Well, I'm sure we'll give him a chance to. Here's his opportunity to do that, because we need to know how you're going to attack this from a betting standpoint. Do you have your old mate Gino anywhere in the numbers?
I do. Look, I really am taken by his last run because he's been a hard horse to try and assess, let's be honest, Gino Severini this season. But the last 5 starts he's been carrying weights between 59 kilos and 60.5 kilograms. So he comes back under the set weights penalties here of 57 kilograms. So he'll be in a better place in the weights. And of course, he did win this race last year, albeit a small field, on a heavy 10 track edition, which it was the first time he'd ever won on a heavy surface. So this will be more his go. He's drawn low. He was 3rd in this race in 2021, so he has a good record in the last couple of years in the Ultimate Mazda Japan Trophy. He's in my top 4 for sure. I'll go with Moroni on top as my top selection. I just like how everything falls into place for this horse. Second up, distance, drop in weight, the pressure up front. I'll be looking for him to be the closer over the top, Moroni.
Okay, Paul, how are you playing this one with the Japan Trophy?
I like perfect scenario. I've got him on top. But I do have I'll have a little each way go on Vernon Me.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, team. Race number 5 on the card is the next race we want to have a look at. The Triton Pacific Owens Plate over the 1400. Small but select, competitive all the same, Steve.
Your compressed market here, Thaddeus, led by Zaitaku at $3 flat. That's the original price that was set on Wednesday. In front of the stablemate in Milafuori, 4 into 3.8. Thunder, 480 into 420. There's your genuine firm in that third line. Rosen Power, Looks to be the leader, 5 out to 550, in front of Zalia at 650 out of turn. Just a canter, 15, got as high as 16, firmed into 14. So that might be some sort of indication that they're looking to run over the shorter trip around Just a Canter because of the weight of money v the feature in the Japan Trophy, and quick preview finishes the field at a $26 price. So look, overall summary, and there's a slight lead here. It's round number 2, Thunder, Billy Pin, Bob Aldridge, 480 into 420.
Okay, BP, look, a nice move for Thunder and would deserve another win with the form he's been showing. He's been super consistent, and this second was tough.
He's been really good this season, hasn't he? I mean, he caused an upset. What was it, on Boxing Day when he was able to win at a big price? He won, $42, and since then he's kept running those good races, those places out of Pukekohe. Okay, yeah, he ran 3rd or 4 in a race at New Plymouth 2 starts ago, but here he's beating Maria Farina on this occasion when finishing into 2nd position. Maria Farina runs into 4th spot, comes out and wins the Lightning and beats one of our better horses we've got going around at the moment in terms of progression, in Seamus. So I really like that form reference around Thunder with how he's been going. Billy Pin aboard. I think there's really good reasons around him going close in this race, and that's why we've seen that market support for him. I guess a couple of other horses come into this race if it does start playing a lot better like we're hoping, and probably should in terms of track conditions. Rose and Power. Rose and Power is a horse who could find that position of being forward and being very hard to catch up against the rail in this race. So I thought her run was very, very good on a wet track, which is a track condition she doesn't really like. She's $5.50. Get her on a better surface and maybe a chance of trying to control this race. She is, for mine, the one I'm most concerned about in this race, Rose and Power, on the quick back up and on a better surface with where she sits. But yeah, Zaitaku, you've only got to go back a couple of runs to be able to find the right run around Zaitaku, because 2 starts ago it bumped into Pearls of Alsace, who just keeps on winning off the back of that win in the Cuddle Stakes last weekend.
It's a fair form reference now, Steve, looking at it.
Yeah, well, I made this my best bet post this race, this second. It was a very good second. The numbers backed it up, as you see there, green for the last 600 in the class rating. Ignore last start on a heavy deck. The horse never went an inch in the conditions. It was gone a long way from home. The key form line, as BP's alluded, is Pearl of Alsace, who has gone on to be a sub-stakes winner last Saturday at Trentham. On raw figures, the rating 75 we've just witnessed, rated 3/4 of a length superior to the Open 14, which we saw Habana win and Thunder come out and run second. Add the Zaitaku factor, it carried 59 that day. And that's just on raw figures. I mentioned around a 3/4 length superior v the Open 14 that Habana won. But breaking down the weights, Zaitaku carried 59 when running second to Pearl of Alsace. It drops to the minimum here of 54 kilograms. It's a bet for me. Yes, tactically it looks a little bit sticky because he is a get-back horse, but I think that's neutralised by the fact that it's a small field and he's not going to be giving many lengths, possibly 3 lengths coming around the turn. He's got the best turn of foot in this race, and with 54 on his back, this is his race, and the improving track is the key. If we get an upgrade come this start or this race, which is halfway through the day, if we can get anywhere near a 4, but even on a 5, that's still a green light for Zaitaku. I think he's got the most upside in the race, and we could be talking about this horse in Stakes Company in about 12 months' time.
Okay, that man Warren Kennedy aboard. The stablemate's attracting a bit of attention as well. Paul Fiore, no surprise. It was a bit of an eye-catcher this day behind Fashion Shoot. The stablemate again.
Yeah, very much so, and she loves the Bay as well. She's won 2 of 3 from there. Her run over 1,300 metres at Te Rapa was full of merit, and she only has to carry 52 kilos with the apprentice aboard. I think it's the Taiaroa, yes. Small field, loves the track, and I think she comes in on some very, very good form. That was a very good, what was it, 5th.
Had to duck back to the inside there.
I marked her going to this campaign as a wet tracker because that figure she ran, I think it was June last year at Matamata, where she put a really tidy winter field away, albeit at 65 grade, but she rode it through the roof that day on a heavy track. But this time in, she's shown her versatility, as you see there at Te Rapa. That was an improving track, a bordering on a good, and she was really good. She was really good. Unlucky, she can be a low percentage play because she does get back, but she has form also at Tauranga/Gate Pass. So look, she deserves her spot in the top 3 in the market. Whether she holds that second line, it's pressure by Thunder, but Yeah, she's an intriguing runner because I think on her day she can get the job done. She just needs the race shape to suit.
BP, I've been a Rose and Power fan, and so you're telling me to not be disappointed in what I've seen this preparation and go again here?
No, I think she's been probably running in some very hard races this campaign, and she finds herself in the right race on the weekend. I mean, she lobs lead. She really does, and has a chance to control this race because we know how good she is out of the barriers. She'll be up against the rail. If that's the spot to be as well, because as we know, the track improving with the rail position, that's a good spot around Tauranga. So, yeah, if she can dictate terms here, we've all seen how hard she can be to pick up. Small field, I guess, does play into those horses like Zaitaku because they can be positioned up a lot closer and be closer there, and the same can be said for Thunder as well. But yeah, look, she's a bet around that 550 mark in a small field where she'll give you a side.
Is that what you're doing? Is that the play for you, Rose and Power?
Yeah, look, Rose and Power and Thunder are the two horses I do like in the race. So yeah, probably a split bet of some sort around those two.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure we can doctor up a power play around those two as well for you, BP.
Do we know where Just a Kent is going?
Well, money's indicating here.
Yeah.
They've got a jockey here too. Hamish is on here.
With
no jockey in the other race.
How's he going, by the way, just as an aside? Hamish, is that McNeil you're talking about, BP?
Yeah, incredible, isn't it? I mean, it's so good to see.
Effort.
Good to see because he's put in the real hard yards to be able to try and shave that sort of next 6 to 7 to get down and even lighter, and almost another 10, I think it is. So he's done a super effort to make a charge for being a flat rider, and it's going to pay dividends for him coming up in the winter. And look, already, as you saw in those 2 highweight races, look, he was ready to go, all right, because he won those 2 highweight races on Wednesday. So good on him for making the effort to have a go, and we've seen it, of course, with jockeys like Jonathan Riddell. They put in the hard yards, and from being a jumps jockey to have a serious go at the flat. So well, look out for him. And I think he's going to be a jockey through that winter period, a good, strong jockey that trainers will be sought after.
Yeah, fair play to him. It's a good effort indeed. Paul, how are you attacking the race? Race number 5 on the card here.
I really like Zaitaku. Yeah, I do.
You and Steve Hunt lining up.
Yeah, I just think sets up perfectly for this. I love the fact that Warren Kennedy's on. It's a small field, so we'll be able to sort of run the race that they want to.
Yep. Steve, you obviously echo those sentiments.
Yep. I do, but I like the thoughts of BP around the safe bet or the insurance bet around Rose and Power getting a soft lead, because if there was a map horse on the day, it does sit with number 3, Rose and Power. And if there's any sort of advantage, or even if the track's playing neutral and there's no disadvantage being along the paint / rail, then Rose and Power becomes an interesting runner in this race purely on the map and the race shape. But Zaitaku, I think he's the best horse in the race, and with that weight adjustment, 59 and 75 grade, up in grade, down in weight, 54, I think he's the play. And just on Warren Kennedy, look, he's going to be very popular tomorrow. He's got some fantastic rides. He's got a lot of rides for Tiakau. There's no Opie Bossa, and a few other jockeys are injured and suspended. So the market's going to gravitate for the majority of his rides, and why not? If he's had 14 wins from his last 75 rides at 19%, exceeding market expectation, which sits at 14%, and you're making a stack backing his horses $8 or less, a profit on turnover at 124%.
Okay, well, if we needed another reason to back Warren Kennedy, there it is. Okay, team, race number 1 on the cards, another race we want to have a look at, the Bailey's Mount Maunganui, 3-year-old, 1,400 metres. Steve, a well-backed favourite here.
Yeah, pretty keen at the point end of the market. Insatiable, one of those runners, 360 into 320. Look, every start this horse has had, I know it's a small sample size, has been heavily punted, the best back runner. In front of Academy Award at a $5 price. Again, significant money on Friday morning, $6.50 into 5. Hanalei at $6.50. Fellini at a $7 price. Chichilian, $8. Lhasa, double figures, 12, and the original price of 11. Savile Street, identical. Betting profile, Lhasa, 11 out to 12, is Slam Dunk. Juju Pop at $13, and Pixie Express at a $21 price. So the overall summary pretty easy here. Again, they're very keen on the 2 favourites here. Insatiable holds a decent number or decent size of the of the turnover. I think the last time I looked, 70% is invested on Insatiable, and the majority is on Academy Award at a $5 price, as I mentioned, peaked at $6.50.
They're pretty keen here, BP. Look, the win at Taupo and the Maiden, beating Paul David was good, but the second last time at Pookie, behind her Flamebird, I should say, was strong again. So you can understand why they're stepping in here.
Yeah, it's backed it up, hasn't it, off the back of that Taupo victory from 2 starts ago. 1,400 metres doesn't look to be an issue for the horse. And look, he is a runner that's held a bit of a reputation, and as Stephen said, they love chiming in and having a bet. But as I said, the 1,400 metres with how he's run this race really does look like it's going to be for him, isn't it? Because he's really warmed up there on the line, hasn't he, to be able to really pick up and go and chase after Flamebird. Because at one stage there it looked like he was going to finish into about 5th or 6th position, but he really gets into his work in the concluding stages. This is a good race, though. This is a race where we've got a lot of horses here that have shown some good talent by winning their maiden, a midweek maiden. Horses that we've mentioned before, like Slam Dunk was one of our maiden of the week. The week before. Academy Awards always competed in good races, so it's a chance to try and line up some of these 3-year-olds with where they might be into their autumn preparation. There is a horse I like here that's at a bit of a price by the name of Lhasa, runner number 3. I like the fact that this horse has drawn barrier number 1. I think that's a key for the first race. I love backing horses at Tauranga that are going to be up against the rail, either in front or in a trailing spot, no matter what day, if it's in the middle of the winter or if it's just through the summer period. I love trying to find those horses that are going to be on speed, and we know it can be that type of track anyway, but especially in the first race. Great chance for this horse to be lobbing trail here. He's a horse who did that when he was on the Poly 2 starts ago. He was beaten in a maiden as at race behind It's Business Time, who was very good in winning that and produced the second win for that horse when winning out of Pukekohe. So I thought he was a little value chance on the each way at around $11 or $12.
I like where your head's at, BP. $12 Lhasa at the moment, and as you say, that form behind It's Business Time, who looks a talented type, might be strong enough. Another replay, Steve, I want to touch on is Churchillian winning down at Awapuni, beating a pretty talented horse in Duncan Creek, and Fellini right in the finish as well.
Yeah, we brought up this race replay 7 days ago when we were talking about the Levin Classic. But, look, the numbers worry me. They really do. The overall class rating, you see they're significantly below par, 4.4 lengths in the minus region, the red region. So, bunch finish. None of these horses that ran the Levin Classic, albeit that was a Group 1 level, performed last Saturday. So, with Churchillian and in particular Fellini, I know what I'm going to get. I don't know if there's much upside where you compare it against these last start maiden winners who have plenty of upside. They may not have the numbers to suggest that they're up to winning at a higher level, but you just got to take them on trust that last start maiden winners, they've only had 1 or 2 starts to date. Can they overtake the likes of Fellini and the likes of Churchillian that have had more starts to date? You know what you're going to get from them, albeit they're going to be on speed, which could be advantageous earlier in the day around Fellini and Churchillian. They're 2 horses that will go forward and sit in the first 2 or 3 and running. But it also Academy Award sits in that profile. And again, she's a filly that probably doesn't have the numbers to back up where she's a betting prospect, but again on the mat, you've got to be cautious. Sam Spratt, decent alley. As you mentioned, even her 4-length maiden win at Taupo was soft on the clock, so she's yet to produce it numbers-wise, but yeah, again, none of these last start maiden performers have smashed the clock either, so it's a balancing act where you sit against these up-and-comers, against these horses that have been running at a higher level, but have been a bit disappointing as well. So, I mean, this is a hot race. The top 3 or 4 in this race that finish in front of Academy Award would start a clear favour in this. This is a 3-year-old 1400 on Saturday, but look, the only thing I will say about Academy Award, that she was in the right position in this race, the Mufasa Stakes, and she was a little bit disappointing in the home straight. It was a race that was dominated by on speed. They've crawled to the 600, they've sprinted home, and she was a little bit disappointing there, but this is a big drop in class.
Paul, Academy Award, I'm going to call her potentially slightly underrated. Ran in some strong races, hasn't she?
Yes, I think so. And look, with Sammy Spratt on board from the 6 gate. There's the opportunity there to go forward and dictate terms. So certainly in it, and the money's on as well. So that's got to tweak your interest. Just back to Insatiable, the favourite.
Yep.
I agree with BP. He had a flat spot in that straight, as they straightened up at Pookie, and then just found a second wind and really finished off nicely, which I guess just makes you think, you really got to have Insatiable in there somewhere. So I do like Insatiable, but I'm throwing the numbers out the window, possibly to my detriment. I love the look of Fellini here. I finished third in the Karaka Million 2-year-old, last season. Showed a ton of guts, I thought, when finishing a nose third to Churchillian and Duncan Creek in that replay that we've just seen.
Yep.
And if the track improves, I think he comes right into it. I really like the look of Fellini.
Who's riding Fellini, do you know?
Some guy, Elliott.
It's not a Group 1 though.
Okay, not a Group 1.
Group 1 Ryan.
Group 1 Ryan now.
All right.
Yeah, well, he's got 6 of them. Hanalei, Paul. We haven't mentioned Hanalei. Looks to be returning somewhere near to its best.
Yeah, look, not back to the form that we saw as a 2-year-old. No. So I'm going to have to just have another look. And Hanalei certainly has the ability. We just haven't seen that, I don't think, so far this season.
Okay. BP, which way are you going? Sounds like you might have a little roughie here to have a bet on.
Yeah, I'm going to have something on Lhasa. I just feel as though there's going to be that pressure early from, obviously, Sam Spratt with Academy Award, putting that horse in a forward position. But I do think Lhasa, with a chance of gaining a really sweet spot in the race, at around $12, you can have something each way. You can back it in the top 4 market. Top 4, what are we looking at? A couple of bucks, are we, for top 4 market? Just quickly looking here. And it is at $2.50. So $2.50 top 4 market. Yeah, I just think it lobs a good position and will be awfully hard. It's a good race, though. I think Juju Pop's a nice horse. Won really well last time to the races out of Pukekohe. Same for Savile Street and Slam Dunk. So, and Pixie Express, who beat home Kentucky Rose, as we showed in our Maiden of the Week. So, a bit to take away from the race, but I'll be going for a horse that can hopefully lob trail, and that being Lhasa at a bit of a price.
Okay. You mentioned Pixie Express, when that comes beat the Maiden of the Week and out there at $21, surely worth a gold coin.
I think this is the ideal race. As I mentioned, you've got 3-year-olds that have exposed form, haven't set the track alight with figures, etc. So I'm going for a last start Maiden winner, and I'm going for Pixie Express. Yes, I concede sticky gate from barrier 11. Master will have to come across, hopefully with that early pressure from 3 or 4 which we've spoken about. He can slot in and get some cover in the first half a dozen, because it has shown tactical speed in its first 3 starts to date, including its maiden win at Ottawa Park. But you look at that race it's come out of. Now, again, it didn't produce strong figures, Pixie Express, but I'm trusting the eye. It was a very dominant win. And you look at the horses that's finished in behind. You've got Kentucky Rose, as we've touched on earlier in the show, Maiden of the Week, impressive on Wednesday. The 5th horse was He Beset, who won a Maiden as at on a Premier Day last Saturday at Trentham, come out and win. Pure Fiction and Nella both ran really creditable races on Wednesday without winning. I think they finished in the 2nd and 3rd position on Wednesday. The only negative is the slight gate where it maps, but it just gets a pinch of luck in the first furlong or 2 and slides them a little bit of cover in the first 4 or 5. I want to be taking Pixie Express at 21-1.
Crikey, 21-1.
Not often we hear Steve tip out a $21.
I think it's the right race to do it. I think, as BP's touched on, these maiden last start winners, Lhasa, I think you're probably going to get a better price than the $12 on offer from what we're seeing in the trading machine. I just feel if Insatiable, does she deserve to be a 30% shot and take 70% of the turnover? That's query, but the horses that, as we touched on, Academy Award, Fellini, Churchillian, I know what I'm going to get from those 3, so I'm willing to take a horse that's on the up. Okay, interesting. Paul, what are you going to do? You said take your numbers. I'm going to... I'm going to, funnily enough, Tiako Quinny here, Fellini and Insatiable. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I do like the way this pans out for those 2. Yeah, okay. You could do worse. Although, I'll tell you what, it's people have spread the picks there, and that's probably the indication of the race, as BP alluded to. Wide open and a very, very nice 3-year-old race to be watching. What I can say is clearly best backed at this stage is Insatiable by quite some margin. So take that as you will. Last race we want to look at, we're going to head down south to Rickett and Steve, but
before we get to the South Island Breeders' Stakes, run us through track conditions of what we're expecting to see down there.
The heavy 8, which is a touch disappointing, but again, I think last time I checked the weather, there's improving weather. The rail's in the true position, so with a decent day today and tomorrow, hopefully that heavy 8 comes back to a soft range with the improvement throughout race day. But currently a heavy 8 and that pentometer reading was taken earlier today.
Okay, the Valachi Down South Island Breeders' Stakes Group 3 over the mile for the fillies and mares, but only mares. Run us through this market.
Yeah, nice betting race. Life Drama heads the market at $3.80 off the original call of $4. Elizabeth Rose just out of turn 4 out of 420. Divine Sava at $6.50. The original price. Ears Back, a significant firmer here, 10 into 7. Burgie's also been well back, got as high as 7.50, been backed into 7. Miss Ella double figures 10. Aberquinella at 12. And the Namibia Miss bested the rest 18 out to 26. So look, they've identified a couple in the middle market, Ears Back and Burgie, but look, Live Drama, Hunter's pretty keen at the pointy end and holding the call at 3.8.
Yeah, it sort of screams at you a little bit, that form reference around Live Drama, BP with that last start second, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, the right form around this horse, if you're liking Perfect Scenario coming up, of course, in the Ultimate Mazda Japan Trophy. Well, this horse ran second behind that horse in the white robe, did Live Drama. And look, she's a horse that's competed in a number of good races. You only got to go back even a couple of starts ago when placed in the Timbadoo Stakes. She's a quality, proven performer, is this horse in Live Drama. And look, went the right way here, as we've seen with Perfect Scenario, cutting corners. Well, so did Live Drama. They did exactly the same thing here to Kavesh Chowdhury, and it meant that the horses run a gun race to finish into that second spot. Look, drawn well. I think there's a lot of good reasons why this horse has moved in the market from $4 to $3.80. And with the form that she's shown, she does pick herself. I think the two at the top of the book really are strong contenders, because Elizabeth Rose breaking down her form lines and off the back of a good tidy trial out of Ashburton, it looks to be the main danger in the race, because this is a horse that, if you only go back 3 starts ago, was beating Campionessa. Now, we know Campionessa is a horse who's gone very close to winning a couple of Group 1s and is trying to squeak its way into the Australian Cup, because it didn't have enough prize money to get into that field. So it needs just one more scratching, I think, to get into the field for tomorrow's race in the Australian Cup. But look, this is a horse who's beaten a quality performer who's really gone on this season off the back of that Spring Classic victory. So I think she's a huge threat in the race, Elizabeth Rose.
EP, have I got some good news for you, Steve?
Really?
Oh,
You happy to be?
I'm happy for you.
You want to take the
announce
glory?
it?
Paul, yours? Campionessa's on. Campionessa's
out.
got the second scratching. Moanga's just come out, so Campionessa will get a run, a well-deserved run, I might say, in an Australian Cup tomorrow. So that is good news for the team. The Campionessa will get a run in that Australian Cup. Breaking news as it happens here on the leg up. Quality mare though, Elizabeth Rose, Paul. I think we've got a replay of her running second back there in March, was it? Yeah, she's a talented mare at best.
She is a very, very good mare. Forget the last start. She had back-to-back wins. This is one of them here. She's looked very, very good as well. Just sort of stretches out over that last sort of 100 metres, and I do like her.
This is the trial, obviously. Sorry, yeah. What am I talking about? Late Feb, yeah. The trial of Elizabeth Rose.
And it was a nice trial too, where she stretches out. I've got her in the numbers somewhere, but I do like another one further down the page.
Oh, go on. Don't keep us with bated breath. We need to know.
John Blackadder and Ears Black.
Of course you do.
Well, hold on.
You can see the market.
I can see it's
screen.
moved now. Hold on a minute. Here's the price that I got when I had a look last night. So, yeah, she's coming big time now into $7. I saw her at $9. Forget last time where she had a number of issues. She was stringing them together before that. She's won on most surfaces. And from the draw, look, it probably won't bother her. She gets back anyway. And then to Jasmine, who's been on her the last few times, just lets her down over that last 400 metres. So I really like the look at Ears Back, and I wish we could have got on before the plunge came.
Plenty. Yeah,
Yes, plenty. This is over just the last, 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I think they've been going for a while, but obviously that move's happened in the last sort of 12 hours or so. Steve, Divine Sava and Miss Ella compete this. Divine Sava has been winner of its last two, and Miss Ella, we know she's quality mare on her day.
Yeah, she was very impressive here. She dropped back to the 7 furlongs, Divine Sava, and just came off heels of the stablemate and finished over the top of Miss Ella, who we know was up to stakes company over a shorter trip in the north as a 3-year-old filly. And I'm leaning towards Divine Sava. She's back to 1600 where she was and a winner 2 starts ago at Riccarton. She can take bad luck out of the equation. She can sit on speed, take a little bit of cover, or she can lead if that pressure's not there mid-race. So I'll go with Divine Sava. My big watch is round number 2, Elizabeth Rose. She's clearly the best horse in the race in terms of ratings and figures. Not as superior over 1600 as what she is a mile, quarter and beyond. I think her time will come when she heads to the north, and she'll be competitive, if not just fillies and mares, but definitely open class staying ranks. If it's not this season, at the back end of, or maybe next season. Look, they went to take her to Trentham over Cup Week, at the early start of January, and she I think she was scratched from one of those feature races. Might have been the Trentham Stakes, and they've just taken their time with her. Where she's had a slight setback, I'm not sure. I'm not 100%, but she's had a trial on the interim. Forget her last start, Elizabeth Rose at Timaru. Tight turning track. She got in a horrible position. Things just didn't work out. If you respect her and you trust her figures to what she showed over the Cup Carnival, she's right up to this. It's just seeing that money. I think she's one horse on the day at Riccarton. You want to see that money late in the piece. She may drift to close to $5, but if she's firm enough from that stable, then that gives you the green light 10 minutes out. But she could be the opposite and be quite cold, and you'd be a little bit sceptical about having a bet. But I think she's one horse that you want to be focusing on in the last 5 to 10 minutes and see where that price ends up.
Okay, last replay, BP's Burgee winning for the Anderton team, and they're tricking up this mare who was good last time. She'll probably want an improving track potentially, but she was good. I see Namibia missing there for the team as well. Has been in good form, but Burgee was good, and when the Andertons travel, you must respect.
Yep, really charged centre track headed this horse for Terry Mosley, and Terry Mosley sticks with. And look, she's putting together a nice progressive record and deserved of a shot at a race like this, and at stakes level at Group 3. And I guess when you sort of line up, with under the conditions of the race, this is a rating 76 horse, and yet it's only half a kilo off Live Drama, who's a rating 96. So look, under the weight scale, she isn't a very well placed horse, but it's a case of let's have a go, let's roll the dice and see if we can get some black type. So that's the thinking from the camp, and with the way that she's been able to sort of polish them up there in that race last time to the races, she's deserved of a shot. I can't get away from these two at the top of the market. I really do like them both, Live Drama and Elizabeth Rose. I'll be looking for a power play on both of these runners to run top 4. That'd be a really nice power play to dip into, team, if we can get that running for race number 9 in the Valachi Down South Island Breeders' Stakes, meeting code 6, race 9, numbers 1 and 2 there in the power play. So just dropping a few subtle hints there around that possible power play, please.
You ask and you shall receive, BP. Don't you worry, I'll make sure that happens around those top 2. And it's often the case in these races, these fillies and mares races, Stephen. It's just mares that the highest rated mares are obviously the best placed.
Yeah, incredible the success rate we see on the low numbered saddle cloths that dominate these fillies and mares set weights or weight for age races. And look, no knock on BP's selection. I'll go with Divine Sava. Don't think it's horribly off in the weights and the conditions of the race, and it's got winning form 2 from 2. I think back to the mile suits, even though it got away with it 7 furlongs last start, and I'll be keeping a close eye on the market in the last 5 to 10 minutes around Elizabeth Rose.
Yeah, I like that advice around Elizabeth Rose, because you'll know a lot around what her price does in the last 5 to 10 minutes. Paul, you're going to go somewhere else, are you? You're on the money train here.
Yeah, look, I really like Live Drama.
Okay.
First of all, look who's second to Perfect Scenario and Feeling the Power. Have her fit as a fiddle, I think. She's much better off under these set weights and penalty conditions than she has been under those weight for age conditions. So certainly deserves to be favourite, but I do have a little sort of inkling for Ears Back. Just has been going very, very well. Last start aside, has been going very well.
Did the saddle slip last time, do we think, or what happened?
Yeah, I think it did, yeah. I think if you look at the starts report, saddle slip, total forgive.
Okay. There's more than an inkling, I can tell you, around Ears Back in the Valachi Down South Island Breeders' Stakes. Going to be a cracking day down there at Riccarton tomorrow afternoon. Okay, team, time to round it up. We're going to go to the best bets in BP. We're going to come to you. Unfortunately, scratching last week. Alan Sherrick took Tavatak out up there.
Yeah, look, it's happened in the last couple of weeks actually, with that horse coming out and then hold the press the week before that being a late scratching. So I'm going to go for my best bet. I'm going to head to Western Australia. Yes, I'm going to go to the Western Australian Oaks on Saturday. Its start time will be at 9:55. Those that tuned in a couple of Sundays ago would have seen the key lead up to the Western Australian Oaks in the Natasha Stakes, and She's Fit absolutely put away Admiration Express, who was a short price favourite in that race and has been a short price favourite to win this particular race. Admiration Express is $2.30, She's Fit's $2.40, and she put panels on that runner. Now, yes, I know there was a barrier draw difference in that race last time to the races when those two horses clashed. Admiration Express drew barrier 13, had to do a lot of work to get to the front, but She's Fit was 3 wide with cover and just absolutely monstered them over the 2,200 metres. She steps up to 2,400 metres. She's a very good filly.
Very good. Okay, she's spreading the wings this week, BP. Going to Western Australia. We have to stay up late to watch that one. She's Fit for BP. Paul, where are you going this
I'll
week?
keep it nice and local.
Sure.
We'll go to Tauranga, race 4. I love the look of In Ecstasy. Was my best bet a couple of weeks ago, but got scratched. Look, I think Cody Cole's got a really, really good mare here, and I think they're going to have some very, very good times in the not too distant future. Now, I see we've just taken a wee bit of cat now and equal favouritism in that J-Swap Contractors 1,200 metre race. She's obviously the daughter of Exosphere.
The extra couple of weeks might have helped.
I think it will have, and if you were watching Pakenham on Thursday night, you would have seen a 4-year-old daughter of Exosphere get up at around $15 or $16. So, yeah, you've got to be patient with these Exospheres, but if you are, they will pay you some rewards. In Ecstasy, race 4, Tauranga.
What a horse handler you are. Into 380 now and plenty of money on Ecstasy to resume with a win. Paul, Steve? Best bet, please.
Yeah, I'll go to Riccarton. I found it tricky this Saturday to find a best bet, but I'll go to Riccarton race 5, the 3-year-old 1,400. Lightly raced filly who's on the up in the name of Mary Wecker. Last start maiden win was super visually, but also backed up on the clock, rating 4.2 lengths above standard. Drops to 53 with that vital claim. I concede the draw is tricky, but I'm just hoping she can find some cover mid-race and blend in from the 600. Aboard Mary Wecker.
Very good. Okay, Mary Wecker for Steve. Let's wrap it up, boys. We've only got a couple of minutes.
Oh, boy.
Paul, yeah, run through it, Paul. What do we need to know before we get out of here?
Don't forget our Twitter poll. This week, Zaitaku, Uderzo at Tauranga, and then the Buffer and Live Drama down at Riccarton. Vote on Twitter and leave a comment, and you're going for a chance to win a $100 bonus bet. Last week's winner at Gullgrey 2305.
Oh, Gullgrey 2305.
Exactly.
What a legend.
We've got a bonus back blitz as well. The first 4 races, so 16 races on Saturday. The first 4 races, where are we? Tauranga, Riccarton. We'll be at
Flemington.
Rosehill and Flemington.
There's graphics there for you now.
And
so
if you're watching live on Friday, don't forget tonight the Valley is on, William Reid Stakes today. We're doing the first 2 races at the Valley tonight as well, are bonus back races, just to help you build a little bit of bank to put on either Imperatriz or Babylon Berlin or Rockin' Horse.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck. Oh, thanks, BP, for your efforts. Good luck to the Kiwis and Oz. Plenty of representation over there.
Amazing, isn't it? Prowess and the Vinery Stakes looks incredibly well placed. Of course, we've got Mustang Valley. We've got the horses that are looking full of sincerity, possibly, as well. And then next week, we move into the Derby. Sharp and Smart, Mark Twain, and Deleuze, full of sincerity. It really does ramp up a couple of extra notches, doesn't it? So, and in Mustang Valley, did I say, as well, is running on Saturday too. So there's a lot of Kiwi interest coming up across the Tasman.
Yeah, thanks.
Don't forget, no deductions, no surprises. We've been talking about track conditions, we're talking about the weather.
Wet in Sydney too.
No deductions, no surprises till the end of March. Look, I know if you guys don't like it, probably means it's really good for the punters. So I'll be pushing.
Hang on, we're out of time.
I'll be pushing for us to extend it, but at the moment it finishes on the 31st of March.
Okay, well, get in while you can. Wet track in Sydney, Mustang Valley, you'll love that. Thank you, gentlemen, for your efforts. Thanks, Steve.
Just that.
Yeah, what are you doing up? Were you around on the weekend?
Yeah, around the weekend. Quick shout out to Craig Pashby. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, yeah.
Celebrate next weekend at our pony. Looking forward to it.
Your brother from another mother.
We're out of time. Thanks, Paul, and thanks to you for joining us for another week in the leg up. We'll see you in 7 days' time.